Good afternoon, everyone. I trust you are well. Hold on, we're just going to try and improve the vision. I don't know if I can lift this up, and you should be able to have a better light in this room. Every time I say we should change the lighting, so we'll see what we can do, please God, this week. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Today's learning is dedicated in memory of as follows: Leah Bas Bible, Tzvi Bas Mordechai, Abram ben David Slavin, Shlomo ben Yisrael Morris, Eliezer Shalom ben Avram Shmuel Beres, Tzipora Fegel bas Ruben Baruch, Shalom ben Eli Li ben Bas Bible, From Shoshana bas Yaakov Shmuel, Yirmiyahu Yechiel ben Achavi Moshe Eliezer Sarah Malka bas Binyamin, as well as Leah bas Yeshua Dov, Fishel bas Yitzchok Stewart, and Sadok ben Binyamin. Wish each and every one of their respective families long life and only simchas. So, did you enjoy it last night? Wasn't it amazing for those that were able to join us? 1 hour, 100 different viewings from our community. That's around 150, 200 people joined us as we celebrated our Chatanim and Ladies of the Year. It was the excitement was palpable, and I have to say it was exceptionally moving, and the tears were gushing from the ladies in particular, not to mention the men. So, we were studying last time we met, and I apologize. We are going to tweak the times because obviously there are some times which clash with our program in the shul, our physical shul as opposed to the virtual shul. We were discussing about the gate of pride. We mentioned that, generally speaking, pride is something that's abhorrent, something that we need to stay away from, and we mentioned about the fact that it leads to a person to pursue honor. Okay, I think that's where we were up to, and we find that with Korach, right? Korach, who the whole reason he really was not, he had no claim, and there was nothing really to be gained, and it was a suicide mission. But he was so driven by this pride and this pursuit of honor that he literally risked everything and gave up everything in order to fulfill and to satiate his longing for power and the pride pursuit. There is an amazing story, a true story. The story is not so exciting, but it just brings home this point, and that is in regards to there was a person who wrote in a newspaper. Yeah, that's the story. So they wrote in a newspaper, and they wrote an article about some of the communal issues that had arisen and how the fact that they needed to be put right. And after this, they became very upset and frustrated and angry. And he wrote to the editor and said, "I don't understand it. You know, not one person wrote to thank me, right? I have raised these issues, right? And no one has written to me to thank me for raising these issues." And the editor, of course, found this highly amusing and baffling. After all, why did this person decide to write into the newspaper? If it was that it was for the communal good, then as long as that communal need has been fulfilled, then it's irrelevant whether anybody recognizes who wrote into the newspaper, who it was that was the catalyst for change or not. But clearly the fact that this person was waiting and craving recognition was indicative of the fact that really they were driven by pride, by a lust for honor. Okay, something that we are talking about today. Okay, so we go on from there to hear another final aspect of pride, and that is, surprisingly, that pride not only does it lead to us like Korach pursuing honor, but also the danger is that it leads to lust. I'll read you just a bit of what he writes. The further pride leads to lust, for the proud man's heart is expansive and desires everything. And lust is the worst of all traits. Funnily enough, we wouldn't have thought that, would we? We would have thought anger is worse than than pride. Lust is the worst of all traits, for one will lust through his pride to wear, very expensive garments and build stately mansions and eat gourmet foods. Now, he goes on to say, don't walk away from this, because he goes on to say that we shouldn't think that we are meant to live a life of abstention, quite the opposite. He says, firstly, there is a positive aspect of pride in one's body, right? A person, since pride is such an evil trait, I will separate myself from it to the extreme. A person may say to themselves, listen, pride's a terrible thing. I don't want to be haughty, right? I don't want to be full of myself. Therefore, I'm not going to eat meat. I'm not going to drink wine. I'm not going to get married. I'm not going to live in a comfortable home. I'm not going to wear nice garments, right? I'm going to wear dirty garments. I'm going to wear torn garments, and I'm going to lead a very, very minimalistic, poverty-stricken lifestyle. Okay, listen to the words, because it's a subtle point that many people miss. One who follows this course is called a sinner, because it's written about a Nazarite, and he shall make atonement for himself for sinning against his soul. Now, the Nazarite, we all know, was the person who abstained from drinking wine. And that is something that, generally speaking, is something that we are not meant to do, right? Everything in this world is here for a purpose. Yes, wine presents us with dangers, right? And there may be that having excesses in life is something that we need to refrain from doing. But generally speaking, and that is why we use wine for mitzvot, for kiddush, for weddings, for bris milah, we use wine time and again to drive home this point, friends. What is the point? The point is quite simply that everything in this world, and wine, I think, embodies this, is it has the potential to be used for good or for bad. Whether it is good or bad depends on the user, depends on how we channel it. If we channel it in the right way, then it's not going to be lustful, right? Our homes don't have to be a matter of just a pursuit of wealth and materialism, right? Our cars, our clothes, it doesn't have to be about showing off, right? Living a lavish lifestyle. It can be because we want to honor the Shabbat, we want to look in a respectful way, right? We want to bring honor to our lives, and therefore we have to look presentable. We have to have nice food and nice clothes and a decent home, right? So there is a thin line. Judaism never said that we are meant to live a life without food, without drink, without engaging in this world. Quite the opposite. We're meant to take the mundane, we're meant to elevate it, we're meant to infuse it with sanctity. But when we decide to pursue these things and they become the be-all and end-all of life, then that is something which is clearly indicative of a lust for these things, an interest in self-gratification and living a lavish lifestyle, and it comes from the pursuit of pride. Okay, there's an amazing story he tells, a story from the Talmud. I'll tell you the story. It relates to Hillel. Okay, and it says about Hillel as follows. He took leave of his disciples and he walked along with them, and they asked him, where are you going? And he answered, to do a mitzvah. Those are the critical words, remember them. They asked, which mitzvah are you going to do? He answered, I'm going to bathe in the bathhouse. They asked, bathing in the bathhouse, is that a mitzvah? He answered, yes. Now, if with respect to the statues of kings that are set up in theaters and circuses, their caretaker polishes and washes them, for which he is not only fed, but also brought up among the royal dignitaries, I, who have been created in the image of God and the likeness of God, as it is written, for in the image of God did he make man, how much more so this should apply. And therefore, that is why our physical being, right, is a means to an end. If you don't look after your car, and I have to tell you a story. So when I arrived in the community, I'll tell you, I can't even remember what it was. It was I think it was a Ford. Yes, it was a Ford Focus, right? Ford Focus. Blue car. It was like 10 years old, reached his bar mitzvah, and I decided I just didn't have the time, I didn't have the patience, I didn't like the car anymore, it wasn't comfortable, and I didn't bother to have it serviced. Not only did I not service it, but I didn't put any oil in. Well, one day, I think the whole neighborhood heard the fact that I hadn't put any oil in it and I hadn't looked after it, because the car came to a halt. There was a banging noise from the engine. And of course, if you don't put food in a car, you don't put oil in a car, then eventually it will break. Okay. That is the same with our physicality, our body. This is the engine which is able to drive forwards and facilitate and enable our souls, which is our essence, right, our core being, to be able to fulfill its mission in this world, to do good, to do mitzvot, to fulfill the will of God. Okay. So everything in this world, okay, what we are saying is that pride, right, it is something which is to be avoided at almost all costs. To lust after things as an end in themselves, right? I got to have, I need, I can't live without it, right? And you see that, it used to be in the good old days when we were able to line up outside stores. Do you remember? The new Apple iPhone came out and there were long lines of people that queued the whole night to be able to get that particular item. And now, even now, there are still, a new trainer comes out and the teenagers have to have that particular brand, that particular design of sneaker, of trainer, right? It becomes the go-to item. I've got to have it. I've got to acquire it. That is clearly, right, coming from a place of pride, that I need it. I need it. And when I deserve it, right? But when a person needs things, needs a new pair of shoes, needs a new pair of trousers, needs a new skirt because they need it in order to function, right? It's functioning. It's in order for me to feel good. It's not about status items. It's not about making a statement to the world, or showing off, or dressing, and living a lavish lifestyle. It's merely about what I need in order to be able to serve God, in order to be able to get on in life. That is the dividing line between pride on the one hand and living a modest, good life on the other. So we are not saying for a second, and Hillel demonstrated, that everything can be a mitzvah, even going to a bathhouse, even looking after ourselves, our physical well-being, so that we feel good, right? But there is that balancing act, right, which other faiths don't necessarily have. But that is where we are, and therefore it takes time sometimes to tweak it. Sometimes we get it right, sometimes we don't. But being aware of where it comes from, this desire for acquisition, for more, we can judge, if we're honest with ourselves, whether when we have these desires and we have these wants and these needs, whether it is coming from a place of a good place or not such a good place. We can make the necessary adjustments. Okay, we're going to move on now. Hope everyone is well. Lovely day today. Plan on going for a walk after this. Okay, so it's good to get out, get some fresh air. So we're going to do Psalm 23. I can see that I would like to welcome those that have put their names up. Powell, lovely to see you. Peter, lovely to see you. Andrea, lovely to see you. Mervyn, lovely to see you. And commiserations and consolations to David Goldring. Okay, it was a tough Sunday. Imagine, I went to Mincha with one being elated, believing that we were at long last turned the corner, we're heading in the right direction, our team. And I came out of Mariv, and it was a very different story. There we go, in 1 second. Lucky it's only a game. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He causes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even when I walk in the valley of darkness, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You set a table before me in the presence of my adversaries. You anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord for the length of days. Memorial prayer. Adon Elamim, Zacho Es Nishmois, Leah Bas Bible, Tzibah Bas Mordechai, Avram Ben David Slavin, Shalom Ben Yisrael Mores, Eliezer Sham Ben Avram Shmuel Beres, Parapegel Bas Reuven Baruch, Shalom Ben Elieli, Ben Bas Bible from Moshe Shanavas, Yaakov Shmuel, Yirmiyahu Yechir Ben Achav Ben Moshe, Eliezer Sar Malka Bas Ben Yomin, and Riza Leah Bas Yeshua Dov, Yeshua Ben Yitzchak Stewart, Sadok Ben Yomin, Shalach Ulilaman Bagan, Aiden Taimanu Chalasam, Lachain Balarachamim Yasrim Mitzaysakan of Babylon Bim, Yitzhak Zachain Nishmasam Adina in Nachlasam, Yanuchu Bishlomish Kavam, Venomar, Amen. Friends, I hope you don't mind. We're going to make a special Refuah Shalema, as well as, of course, all those in the world that have coronavirus and other illnesses. We would like to make a Refuah Shalema. They have asked for us to daven for them. Quite unprecedented. We have Lord Sachs, who needs a Refuah Shalema. He's having cancer treatment. We wish him well, and we'll have his name in mind, as well as family of Mervyn, and that is the great Diane Ehrentreu of Basden, who is in hospital and has had, I think, a couple of strokes. So we wish them both well and a refuah shalema. Okay, so Misha Berach Avaseinu Avram Yisrael Yaakov Moshe Aaron David Shlomo Yivarach Rapesa Chaylim. Babu Shanu Mispalim Babu Ram Biz Chazakash Bochu Yimale Rachim Aleichem Malak Machbosam Yishlach Lehem Fushlim and Shemaim Lachol Vem Besoch Shach Al Yisrael Rapus and Epish Fusagov Hashtag Makarev and Amar Amen. Wish everyone well. Keep safe, keep well, look after yourselves. Please, reminder, tomorrow we have our chat, and then instead of a burst of inspiration, we are very lucky, privileged. Gila and I will be interviewing the mayor of Barnet, Caroline Stock, who we can't imagine what she is dealing with at the moment. And of course, she had to stay on because Brian Gordon tragically and suddenly passed away, and therefore she'll be sharing with us some of the goings on and all the action behind the scenes at the council and how they are making sure that we all stay safe in the current unprecedented pandemic of COVID. And we look forward to that on Thursday night. In the meantime, everyone, keep safe, keep well. Look forward to seeing you throughout the week. All the very best.